Imagine living in a world where your entire existence was a commodity, where one person's greed controlled the lives of thousands. Today, we uncover the dark and disturbing truth about the 5 craziest and richest slave owners in history. Brace yourselves, this isn't for the faint-hearted. By the end of this video, you'll wonder, how far can human cruelty and greed go? Slavery, an institution so cruel, yet so profitable, that it made some men unimaginably wealthy. But their wealth wasn't just obscene, it came with stories so twisted, they sound like plots from a horror movie. From unimaginable punishments to owning entire cities of slaves, these individuals make modern billionaires look like mere amateurs. And here's the kicker. Some historians still defend them. Do you think money can ever justify such horrors? Stick around to hear these stories, and let's see if you agree. 1. John Armfield and Isaac Franklin, the slave trade tycoons. First on our list is a dynamic duo who turned human suffering into a billion-dollar business. John Armfield and Isaac Franklin were not just slave traders. They were masterminds of a system so vast it spanned continents. Together, they owned Franklin and Armfield, one of the largest slave trading firms in the United States. They orchestrated the buying, transporting, and selling of thousands of enslaved people, treating them like livestock, their wealth equivalent to modern tech moguls. Here's the controversy. Some argue they were just businessmen of their time. Businessmen or monsters in disguise? Drop your thoughts in the comments. 2. Pedro Blanco, the African slave baron. Next up, Pedro Blanco. Ever heard of him? Probably not, because history likes to forget the truly horrifying ones. Blanco operated his empire out of Galenas, a West African port, where he personally oversaw the enslavement of thousands. But what makes him even more disturbing? He lived in a lavish mansion while his business took place just outside his front door. Imagine sipping wine while human beings are shackled beneath your balcony. Here's the debate. Should men like him be erased from history books or exposed as cautionary tales? Let me know. 3. William Beckford, the Sugar King. Now let's talk about William Beckford, whose family wealth was built on the blood, sweat, and tears of enslaved people in Jamaica. Beckford didn't just own plantations, he owned an empire, with over 22,000 slaves working his fields. He was so rich that his wealth overshadowed the British monarchy, yet he's celebrated in some circles as a patron of the arts. Patron of the arts, or a man who literally painted his life in human misery? What's your take? 4. Madame LaLaurie, the sadistic socialite. If you thought the others were bad, wait until you hear about Madame Delphine LaLaurie. This wealthy New Orleans socialite threw extravagant parties, but behind the scenes, she tortured her slaves in ways too gruesome to describe. When her mansion caught fire, authorities discovered her dark secret, a torture chamber filled with enslaved people who had been mutilated. Yet some locals still call her misunderstood, or the embodiment of evil. Sound off below. 5. Edward Colston, the Merchant of Death. Finally, Edward Colston, the man who built an entire city with slave money. This British merchant is often celebrated as a philanthropist, but here's the truth. His wealth came from the transportation of 80,000 African slaves, many of whom perished during the journey. Statues were built in his honor, but in 2020, one of them was famously torn down and thrown into a river. Here's the controversy. Should history honor men like Colston for their contributions, or condemn them for their atrocities? These stories aren't just shocking, they're a reminder of how power and greed can corrupt to the core. The wealth of these individuals came at a cost so horrific, it's hard to fathom. So here's my question to you. Should these names remain in history as a warning, or should we erase them completely? Comment below. I dare you to argue your side. And before you go, if you found this video eye-opening, hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more untold stories from history. Together, let's keep these discussions alive. Remember, history isn't just about the past, it's a mirror to our present. So share this video, and let's make sure we never forget.